Hey, well, welcome to the show. My name is Nathan, aka Love is the Answer. This is Jimmy D, and welcome to a shallow dive with love. Welcome.
And that's all we have for you today. We're sorry. Come back next week.
Bye. No, that'd be messed up.
How are you? You all right? We were just chatting about some fun stuff. And I thought, instead of saying stuff that might get me in trouble if somebody in the next room hears, I may as well say stuff that will definitely get me in trouble and broadcast it worldwide to the internet, because that's always a good thing to do.
Yeah,
So we were talking about
when you
right? Yeah, the potential for microdosing, and I like this idea a lot.
It's cool.
And it's interesting because Japan is probably one of the countries that has some of the strictest, in a sense, illicit laws for certain things. I'm not going to make their translations too easy for them. But when I first arrived in Japan, there was actually vending machines still in Tokyo that were selling mushrooms.
Wow.
Crazy. Like, they used to sell them in vending machines here. That's crazy.
Wow. So it's just part of the culture, essentially.
It was until some famous person's son decided that they could maybe fly, and then
Was it Bruce Lee?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was. I don't know exactly who it was, but there was an incident where someone died, and their parents were very famous, and then it basically slid back towards the whole reefer madness type of narrative, essentially. Everything was bad. So they pulled them. It became like, it's weird though if you think about it. But I know in Canada it's big now. A lot of people.
No, it's super weird. I mean, I think just culturally as a civilization, we have a history of kind of oppressing and even repressing a lot of things that have to do with the psyche and the spirit. It's either one or the other, right? It's either like society says it's not allowed, or we guard ourselves from our own enlightenment. There's always a wall up. It's like
we're at the point now, I think, that we're getting to the place in some countries as well. We're getting to the place where we're actually being given these rights to be able to self-manage our own consciousness. Imagine that, being allowed to self-manage your own consciousness. And the things that are coming out of it are actually quite positive, right? Like, there's a lot of art, there's a lot of music, there's a lot of things that have always been coming out of it.
We're learning how to use technology differently too, because we're able to like open up and assimilate in a different way. Like, I mean, a lot of people that created this stuff that we deal with every day, they weren't sticking to like a normal regimen when it comes to the supplements that they're dealing with and stuff. I mean, they're outside thinkers for sure.
Right. Yeah, and I remember back in the day when I was a university student, and we would always say the same thing as every kid everywhere who ever dabbled would say. I mean, it's so much better for you than alcohol, and alcohol is okay, but this isn't, right? And now we're at a point where that's like shifted in a lot of states. It's funny to me that it's a lot of states and it's not every state. There is something to be said for the American political complex. In a way, I kind of like it. Yeah, I mean, what do you think
the best and worst aspects of it, just from like an emotional and mental standpoint for humans?
Yeah, well, we're always gonna, I think, as a human, like as a culture, as a human race, we're always gonna focus on the negatives, right? But if, like, I do a lot, because I think if you focus on the negatives and things like politics, that's the best way to change, right? Like, if I just go out there with you and we campaign on a platform of love in our little hippie flowery van, riding around whatever state we're in, there's no fucking way we're gonna win. I'm sorry, but right? There's places where you can build models for constructive, positive change in the blockchain space, the art space, the space that you and I dabble in mostly. And then there's places where you have to conform, which sucks. Yeah. I'm not saying it, but this is why I don't dabble in those spaces, because I don't want to conform to. Like, this is why I'm not a politician, right? Like, I have that choice. I'm not saying that, like, anyone who thinks that you and I should win, thank you. That would be awesome.
I'll do it. But I'm
like,
gonna hand it off to whoever I think is most fit immediately.
right? Yeah, I that's exactly it, right? Like, if we
I'll
won,
delegate.
we'd be like a week later, we'd probably be like, okay, like,
I think I found the guy.
freaking sucks.
Look, I did it. I just like appoint him to like just make my decisions, and I make the figurehead. And there'd be power behind the throne.
I mean, it's fun for me to think about because, like, we were chatting earlier. I was telling you I'm thinking about moving.
Yeah.
For various reasons. I mean, rewind to the beginning of the conversation, and you'll know why I'm thinking about moving. But yeah, but then I'm also thinking about like maybe moving here. This is pretty sweet, like that's somewhere here. If I get the screen straight or myself straight, I'm never sure whether I should tilt myself or tilt the screen, right?
Whoa. Yeah, it's always a mystery.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. But then there's the West Coast in Australia. I wouldn't go West Coast in the US for the simple reason that I think it's overplayed, and I think you get lost in the shuffle. If I'm 100% honest, I think if you're there and you grew up there and you have a place there, I think that's a great place to be. But I think that there's so many people out in California, especially, that are trying to make it, that you just become another face that no one would listen to. And I'm, if you haven't figured this out, a person that I want people to listen to me. Because I think we all are, though, right? Because here's the thing: you and I are the types of people who would stand on a corner or in a park in California and scream at the top of our lungs, alongside almost all of the people that we work with, that people are messed up. They're not paying attention to blockchain, and everyone's going to look at us like we're crazy, right? Yeah. But actually, like look at people like you, look at people like Ken, look at people like Corey and Blue, myself. Most of our audience who has dabbled in it, who has seen success, I think at this point, most of the people who are following us have seen some semblance of success.
At least mild, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Why are you here if you're not? Because damn.
Right. Yeah. We're in the midst of a bull run now, I guess, though. Like things are looking up. How are you feeling about that? I mean,
all I'm gonna say is, like, once again, I'm not gonna forget everybody who I saw freaking out in the last few weeks. And still, I mean, we were like below. I mean, let's face it, we were even below like $5,000 at a point for just Bitcoin alone in the last 2 years, right? So like, let's not act like these things don't turn around quick. And we saw how many people jump ship that were selling everything off at those prices that just like bought back in probably now. Like, oh, now it's happening. Like, I don't know. I mean, I think my honest opinion about a lot of this stuff is just a psychology lesson for most people. It's like, how well do you know yourself? Are you strong enough? Did you overinvest? Did you spend money you shouldn't? Did you like stick to your guns and make like good dollar cost averaging decisions over and over and over? Did you like look at new projects? Did you get into NFTs at the right time? So there's a lot of boxes to check off before you decide if this is like I guess where it's going, or if you're happy rather. Like if a lot of people are pissed and they'll just kind of malign the entire system during a bear cycle. But then like the same people in these chat rooms like buy this, buy that, when they were telling me to sell everything like last week. It's kind of weird, the psychology of it. People don't remember that like you like, I heard you say this, I heard you say that, and it's just bizarre to me.
I mean, you could totally mess up and end up in a place where you've absolutely screwed yourself. But I just find it funny that people are giving you advice. That's all.
Do you know how many like shit coins I've lost money on? I mean, it's crazy.
Right. So I think if you're in crypto, this is my words of wisdom today. Before we let Sebastien in, I think if you're in crypto, you only really should be complaining about one thing. And that is that your internet sucks and you can't live wherever you want, because like that's really all that matters. That's what I found out this last week, is like I haven't had a stable connection since I saw you last week. right? And I realized that like
brings
I didn't
stability
realize,
to people's lives.
right? Even that connection wasn't like very stable. I was like porting from my phone. I used up all my minutes in like a day.
It's a fun episode, though. It's worth it. It's
Right?
worth every minute.
Yeah, it was worth it. It was worth every minute.
Hey-o.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Good morning. We can't hear you, so maybe yeah.
Oh no! Ding, 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 ding. Welcome to the show. This is how we like to start usually, is with a few technical difficulties.
It's funny because for me, it's like if there's no volume, it just means that I forgot to turn it up. Like for someone who's in a studio, it's like which plug do I unplug, which volume button do I check, which thing do I do, and how long do I freeze intentionally before they realize that it's not intentional.
He's not even blinking. Oh, there. Wait. Is he there?
TDA, right? We should change it to TBD, to be determined.
Ooh, and that stands for the digital acid. This is a collection that is very, very, very highly coveted. I don't know if you've heard of DUTCHEE.
I have a little bit.
The next character is about to make his debut in like a big way this week, and we can announce it because it's been leaked. There's a.
Did you leak it? Was that you?
It wasn't me. No, it it was actually the project's namesake. He had no choice. He had to give it to the people that were announcing it. So it's been announced already. There's a collaboration between the Digital Acid and YoshiDrops, and it's gonna be mega. But it's not just a collaboration. Like there's a whole aspect to it that Sebastien was gonna help explain because he's a literal genius. And people that watch this show, they know me. I'm not like a genius by any means. I'm a good guy, and I mean well, but I'm no genius. All right. But this product that's going to be unveiled this week is definitely one of those products where you'll think that Albert Einstein invented it or something.
I'm totally gonna steal that, not the project, but that line. I'm a good guy, but I'm not a genius.
I'm a nice dude, but I'm not a genius.
That's the new standing on shoulders of giants line for the modern generation, I think.
There's a lot of strategy that goes into that kind of decision too, to say things that way.
Right.
It's very insulatory. Is that a word? Insulatory?
I don't know, but it should be. See, everyone's a genius in their own right.
I mean, I make words.
Right? Like, imagine the day that people realize that geniosity is a word.
Does an app or something.
Right. I'm trying to find the site here so that I can pull it up. I like what's happening with the space in general. In terms of NFTs, and Dutch is doing some really cool things. They're very original. You saw it on his T-shirt.
Yeah, I'm wearing the character may or may not make its debut this week. A lot of people don't know who this is, and I'm not sure if I should reveal it. I don't know if I'm allowed to. Like, am I going to screw this whole thing up if I say something? That's why I needed Sebastien here, because he's the one that's good at this part. It's his guy, Right. I'm going to cry on air. I'm going to cry live on air. I'm going to have a meltdown. I'm just kidding. It'll be okay. One thing that I think people need to realize is this is showbiz. And sometimes live problems happen. But Sebastien's going to try to join. And if not, Jimmy D and I are just going to cut it up. We're going to dance.
Yeah. If Jimmy D can find...
Can you dance with me, Jimmy?
I'm not such a dancer.
What's your favorite vegetable?
I've never told you this story. Is a pumpkin a vegetable?
It is, right?
I don't know, but yeah.
Don't do that to me. A tomato's a vegetable. Nah, it's a fruit.
There was a situation when I was in high school where we were sitting at the back of the bus, and one of my mates said to our Dutchie in a way, he said something really dumb, and one of our mates said that, all right, new topic, sex with vegetables, you start. And out of all the possible responses, the response that came back was, is a pumpkin a vegetable?
That's it. That's what people had.
That's that's so yeah, that's my underground background story. But yeah, we were talking about weird and interesting vegetables the other day.
Yeah, it was called like a crapple or something, right? The one that you had.
What was called a papple.
A papple.
I mean, I if I walked into a shop and I bought a crapple, I'd be pretty impressed.
It doesn't sound appetizing.
Mangosteen. There's an interesting kind of story behind mangosteen. Actually, if you know what a mangosteen is, they're little fruits from Thailand, and they're named mangosteen in English. And the story goes like this: like, I guess somebody was asking what it was, and in Thailand they used to call them mangoes or something like that. And there's a word like "thien" in Thailand that kind of means like, you freaking tool, like you're flipping idiot, kind of, right? And so, like, I guess this guy with the language barrier, he was asking what this fruit was, and the lady, she just kept saying, like, mango theme, right? Like, basically calling him a freaking idiot. And so he went off and believed that the name of the fruit was mango theme, mangosteen. So it's a similar right, to how Canada was discovered, right? Like the narrative goes, they got off the boat. And what's the name of this great land? And of course, the natives at that time didn't understand, and they said, like, basically, come to our village and sit down and let's chill, smoke the peace pipe, do whatever we. Is peace pipe a derogatory term? I guess probably it is. Anyway,
I don't know. I'm just saying you said it, not me. That way, if it is, it's like,
right.
I can hide behind it. He did it,
right? No, but like there were ceremonial purposes. I just don't know what we're supposed to call things these days because everyone's so sensitive. But you get what I'm saying. Anyway, they said, come to our village, and
it was a ceremony. Let's say.
And the word village in the native language was kanata, and again they thought, oh, okay, well, this is a nifty. I love you, man. This is a new this is a new land, and we're gonna call it Canada. And so these types of stories crack me up.
Now, history with Jimmy D.
Yeah, right. This is history with Jimmy D. This is but Nifty BC has one.
Shout out Nifty BC.
Yeah.
Shout out back to Palooza coming up.
What do you? I think I know the answer to this, but what do you categorize a platypus as? The next great NFT character. I think that's. I mean, Ether's blowing up with freaking cats.
Full rundown
in there.
Do you need like kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species? Or are you just asking for like what it like? Is it like a mammal or something?
I don't know, but I think if you have the kingdom, phyla, class, genus, and species memorized in your head, then you should just throw that out there.
Okay, hang on. No, I don't. No, that'd
be the fact that you actually remember that categorization is pretty freaking impressive. I'll just say that.
All right, so one thing I try to do generally is just play as dumb as possible. Because if people know that you're actually know a lot of stuff, they'll expect a lot of like interesting, intelligent things out of you all the time. So I like to just throw curveballs occasionally and hit you with the whole list. And I'm just flexing just to let you know I'm not like super stupid, but like But yeah, platypus is a mammal, bro. No, yeah. Wait, is it? Yeah,
it's a mammal. I think it is, and it's also one of those. It's also one of those marsupials, right? I'm not sure whether that would be the class or the.
Oh, it could be a marsupial. You're right.
But marsupials are, I think, are marsupials not mammals? I think marsupials are mammals.
Now I don't feel so smart.
I'm pretty sure marsupials are animals, and I'm pretty sure a platypus is a marsupial. But
welcome to Name That Marsupial. That's the new show.
I like it.
That would be great, actually. And then we just have to talk about a specific marsupial for about an hour, maybe a little bit more with us, because we like to talk about marsupials.
Right. Let's do this.
Do it.
Uh,
Do your worst, Jimmy D. Hit me with your best shot.
okay, just a minute. This is gonna be good. You're gonna love this. This is all for you, and just because love really is the answer, and the best way to show
Prove
love.
me wrong. I'll buy you a pizza.
You're right. The best way to show love and appreciation for someone that you think is awesome is to do crazy shit like this. So let's go here. Let's go here. Let's go here. And let's go here. All right. The Digital Acid. Welcome back. This is a new show that we're going to start. It's a new segment in the show called Name That Marsupial. What do you got?
Yeah, we started a new show called Name That Marsupial.
I've got Icanita. That's what I.
Okay,
that's what I'm guessing.
I mean, you can read it on the screen. I should have probably opened up the.
Right. Well, I mean, listen. If you're gonna lay it out like that, I'm just gonna go for it. I mean, I like winning right out here when I'm losing so hard in the intro. So
Wait, I'm not gonna volunteer to lose.
Well, it's actually an echidna, not an acanita. But I like acanita. I think acanita sounds good.
You know what he meant.
A really good painkiller.
It sounds like one of my favorite foods, the empanada.
Oh, the empanada is good. Yeah,
I'm a huge fan.
Don't get him started. Next week's show, he's going to come back and say, hey, last week I flew to Australia and I tried to eat an echidna and empanada and it didn't work out well.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, I might sound like the bad guy, but I'll wrestle a koala bear too if I'm in that neck of the woods. That's
a weird flex, but okay.
Right.
Well, I'm just trying to let people know that I'm not afraid of even the
lengths you're willing to go.
Right? Yeah, like when I've offered many times to wrestle a bear.
Well, you're daring like that, and
give me a bear.
And obviously, you're not Canadian because all Canadians know you never wrestle bears.
Well, tell that to Khabib Nurmagomedov, the UFC fighter. There's video of him wrestling a bear as a child. So
is that the one where he's like slapping the bear across the face with the salmon?
Yep.
Oh no, that's a good beer commercial. Sorry, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he pulls it by that.
That's a good anything commercial.
Listen, get over here.
Right. So Sebastien, welcome. I actually don't know if I don't think we've ever met before. So I'm excited to have you here because I know you're doing some really fun stuff. And I'm excited to actually get some information that is useful because Nathan's not really sure what he's allowed to say. So
yeah, I'm not sure what I'm allowed to reveal. And the other thing is you're the baby daddy of DUTCHEE.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't want to spoil I don't want to spoil your news. I was like, this is not my news to give.
Right. Okay. So where are we starting here? And I'll take it away. Where would you like to begin?
We're gonna start at whatever you deem is the beginning.
Collab. YoshiDrops Digital Acid collaboration.
Which collab? The YoshiDrops?
Oh, let's start there.
Like that. Okay. All right. Well, I guess it's new like that. So a lot of people actually want to know what is it. On the calendar, it popped up on NFT Insider, and immediately Yoshi members and others was like, wait a second, I don't understand what's going on here. What is this airdrop? And then meanwhile, Blue is saying revolution and blending, things like that. So let me clear the air here. So we signed, Digital Acid signed Tier 2 deal with Lgnd and YoshiDrops, and so it's not a one-time drop; it's like a continuous thing, and we're really excited about that. We have music roots and stuff, but our character Spliffy just had the what's it called, the black and white to color moment. There you go. Went from 8-bit to full 3D. We already have another character, DUTCHEE, that you see in the back.
DUTCHEE.
Yeah.
DUTCHEE.
You want to actually drop link is right there if you want to scan it. And then if you want the augmented reality, you got to scan that one. Pop the augmented reality out if you're watching it, or buy Dutchie right here. So yeah, the story. Let's see, with Yoshi and stuff. So this drop is really interesting. It's had 2 tests prior on our collection. One was like this spur of the moment inspiration that hit in the middle of the night, and was kind of like, we all know about blending. Well, maybe we don't. Actually, let me pull that back. A lot of people don't know what blending is. So to clarify the air here, blending is generally smoothies, fruit, mixed together with water, to bring you health. No.
Yeah.
Blending
Yes.
NFTs is the words are convoluted because on the cutting edge, we've just come up with words and then people run with it. So technically blending would be like mixing 2 NFTs together to get one. But what we do is almost like a GameStop trade-in. It's 1 for 1. So you don't need an additional item to blend with it. And basically we did this test where it was like, what if we did this character, like it's inspired by, Sonic and Knuckles, or, early Sega Genesis games where you have that player 1 and player 2, red character, blue character or something. And so we've seen people burn in one direction, but not in an infinite loop. So I had this like hypothesis that was like, well, wait a second here. If you hooked the first player 1 to player 2, but then you could blend back to player 1 again, essentially you have like almost like reincarnation, I guess, right? Because you're still holding a single mint, but it's being destroyed, then reminted, and then that's destroyed and reminted. So really there's always one constant. It reminded me of the double spend, sort of thing. And so I was like, well, wait a second. So the amount that I issued theoretically would always stay the same, but the mints would keep climbing, which is kind of crazy because it's like, so what we did was we did a small test with like 5 or 4 mints, and it worked. Basically, we were able to go from 1 to 2, and then 2 to 1, and then 1 to 2, and we're like, oh my God, it's working. So we decided to do an airdrop where the 2 cartridges could blend back and forth. And we didn't know what was going to happen to Atomic, but essentially it said that we would have impossible mint numbers in a lower issued supply. So without all the jibber jabber, we made 142 NFTs, but we had mint numbers of 666, 777, 420, but we only minted 142. No further were minted. So it created this kind of interesting game in our community where people started competing with each other to race to certain mints. And it was happening across the country, or across the world. So you had people in France battling with people when they wake up. And so hundreds of mints would be burned out. But again, it's like only with a single cartridge in a way, right? And so people held on to those lucky mints. It was a battle for those like repeating numbers. And theoretically, the person who got to the end would shut off the entire game for everyone. So
game over.
What's that?
Game over.
Game over, right? 777, the ultimate luck is over, and now you can't switch. So we didn't know what was going to happen because it kind of doesn't make sense. In some ways, you would think that the blockchain would prevent something like that. We issued 142. Why do we have a 7? And what's interesting too is because people were only choosing the selected magical mints. If you look on Atomic, it's a bunch of burned mints, like hundreds of burned mints in the middle, and then a good mint, and then a bunch of burned mints. So you really have like this weird, like when you look at the supply, it's just like only cool mints, I guess, right? And so, yeah, so it turned into this thing of like, okay, well, what if this was with music? And it's become this product that's essentially like battling against each other for prizes. Meanwhile, only holding a single asset, but it having multiple states of existence. So really, we're giving you one song. So you'll get airdropped if you're a Dutchie holder from a digital acid collection, or if you're a Yoshi member, you get airdrop for free. So to clarify, there's no drop to catch. There's a blend, right? As soon as you get it, and it is a race against time. And the ones who get good mints are going to be happy they did. But essentially, they get to listen to the album, or the EP in this case, track 1, trade in, burn their track 1 for track 2, burn their track 2 for track 3. That's the end of the record. Burn track 3 for track 1 again.
Oh.
And essentially the loop. So the Yoshi thing is something brand new. And I guess we'll have to see, just like we didn't know how it was going to turn out the first time.
There's something interesting here that I've been, there's a lot of interesting things. I don't know what I'm allowed to say, but I don't know shit. So whatever I say, it's not because I have inside.
I don't know anything. Are you kidding?
You're a spoiler.
This guy doesn't. Wait, this guy?
Right.
That guy definitely doesn't. Wait, that guy.
But it's funny
I
because
spoil things a lot.
I've been pondering some of these things for a while. And one of the ones that I was pondering the most was, how can we, as a business, one of the biggest problems that we have with NFTs is open blockchain, right? And as weird as that sounds, I think for this to be viable, we need to figure out a way to meld business and blockchain together, right? Like, we can't just be giving shit away for free forever unless Nathan and I win and rule the world.
I'll give you everything.
But maybe that's the way to get there.
Right. But in order for us to utilize blockchain and crypto in the way that we want to do it, we need to figure out easy plug and play options for the real world, right?
Yeah,
like, to be able to show them that makes more sense. And so one of the ideas that I had a while ago was, what if there was a way, because one of the kind of downfalls, I think, of what we're doing with YoshiDrops is once that asset is released, it's in your wallet. Yes, you have ownership, but beyond the words of ownership, there's no substance to that, right? Like, and there's some interesting people that are doing some interesting things. I know Nifty's in the comments. He's doing some really cool things with like limited, with some limited copyright things. Which
I own 14 out of 100 units. So 14% of that IP.
Nice.
Go on.
Yeah. So it's really interesting.
I've heard of it.
But what you're saying here is quite interesting, because there's another application here, right? Like, if you're listening to the track, once you get to the end and you can no longer burn these anymore, right? Then you're going to have to buy another one. If you want to listen to that second or that third track again and you're stuck on number 1, there's a really interesting plug and play real world business scenario here.
Right, it's like a record.
On where this experiment heads, right?
It's the degrading record. The more that you play it, or the tape, that the more that you use it, it starts to lose its quality. But what's interesting is we're playing with it on the opposite side. We're stacking luck on the further mints. So it's like, okay, you can keep what you have, not play, then you're a low mint, but then the prizes, then you can try, and then if you miss, you can try for the next number. And so it's really this sort of game of changing your luck, because really when you start with song 1 and you have mint number 350, if you were the first to blend, you have mint 1 on song 2, right? And so so it's an interesting, I think it's an interesting way of looking at owning a single asset. Like, of course, like access, I'm really big into utility, and that's why I'm like obsessing over Uplift right now. Like, I can't get it out of my head, honestly. It's like, I don't know exactly what vein it tapped. And like, I wasn't a Minecrafter or anything. And I just, I'm really letting go of tons of stuff that I thought I cared about. Just like, uplift. And so, but
have
really,
you sold my art?
Utility wave, like Senior Lupe also gave some IP rights. Nifty, speaking of Nifty, my homie, and worked with me on DUTCHEE augmented reality and that kind of stuff. That guy's bringing a lot of innovation. So I'm a headline sponsor at the event on Saturday, where the YoshiDrops are there at our booth.
You guys have got a really cool booth set up. I got it in my ass in gear. I'm blaming not having internet, but we're gonna have an Uplift booth as well. That we're putting some then we're putting some cool things in there. Yeah, so let's talk about that for people who don't know what's going on with Waxapalooza and what are you guys doing over at Waxapalooza? You said you're a headline sponsor. Fill us in.
Sure, yeah. So, well, we're dropping a couple big projects. So obviously there's the Yoshi that drops the day before, but we're also working with an award-winning animator who is just does gorgeous work. Has been in, let's see, Sundance, Vimeo, Staff Choice a million times, Airbnb, Best Buy, Facebook Originals, Cartoon Network. So beautiful, beautiful hand-drawn work. And so our series, Digital Asset, is sort of like the parent company, I guess. And then, you know, there's IP that falls under that. And Blockchain Blunts kind of just took off on Wax and changed my life, which is a beautiful story. And it's really all about burns. So I started with manual burns, transferring, and then, you know, burning and minting, and then Nifty blocks changed my life. And then now there's another Nathan that's going to further change my life with smart contracts, custom smart contracts. That's another story.
Definitely.
So Blockchain Blunts is really a you know, kind of like our Wheaties box, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of people weren't totally celebrated. I also worked in like a lot of like corporate. I worked for a mentor at Adobe, a product designer at Facebook. I worked in for AT&T on social. But all that being said, there's been a lot of like red tape or like what you can do for corporate and all this kind of stuff. And now, you know, here I get to
brand guidelines.
I get to choose the creative brief. I put it out. Really, I don't need to like get an approval or something. So, you know, we've done crazy stuff with our brand. And so really we're kind of doing the Wheaties box, but at the same time, and it's burnable, of course. But we celebrate like an artist. And it really kind of takes over like an album. And so we work with Boneheads, which is an animator on Adult Swim. And then this is his best friend, which they've produced together for like a couple decades. And so we're dropping that. That's the Super Sour Diesel. That's Hungry Herbie's Super Sour Diesel. And but we've passed flavors. We've had the Boneheads flavor, Cushberry. And we just did one with Ken Bozak, which is a permanent, that's Kenny's golden grape. So we've got the blendable action figure, a permanent collection on Ken. Now we have a permanent collection on Yoshi, and then we have digital acid. So I know it's getting confusing, but we're doing some super metaverse stuff with cross blending. So we're using a single asset across 3 audiences, and they essentially need to share its utility. And then it blends onto your action figure. And first to blend, you know, so in a way we're bringing, yeah, maybe they're right, a little blending revolution over there, and it's interesting way to gamify transactions like Wax Tycoon or other projects we've seen where I've seen people swipe for 2 hours just swiping transactions.
Imagine this kind of sample size,
right? We don't even have a game interface, right?
Right, and I mean, this sounds crazy. But how many people do I see every day on the train playing freaking Candy Crush, where they're swiping for no reason, right? I mean, I guess they're having fun. I guess they're enjoying it. But like that's the point, right? Once we can gamify, sorry, I keep going back to Bonehead because I just want to use that word in a sentence. Once we can gamify the Bonehead, like random things that people do every day. With blockchain, I think that's where we win, and I think we've already won. But I like the confluence of where this is going, because you know, I just want to basically take your little spiel that you said earlier,
right?
And I want to cut like every third word out of it, and then I want to condense it. Because it's gonna be freaking awesome. It's like, yeah, I mean, I used to work for Adobe and Facebook and the Boneheads, and now we're blending and we're doing, those Boneheads are doing, like, they don't know what's going on. We're doing something new. It made me think about, you know, a conversation I was having with a few people recently who are, and myself. I was talking to Nathan about where I am. And part of the reason I'm here on this island is I'm thinking about leaving, but I've got a job that I've got to kind of finish out my contract because I just want to, you know, do that. I kind of feel it's important. And so I'm just kind of biding my time. And then what's happening though is there's a lot of people in certain spaces in the industry that have contracts that are biding out their time, where they can go off and do their own things, right?
Sure.
Like, we know this is happening. And you've got a lot of people who never had that opportunity to get those contracts in the first place that now have the opportunity. We're going to see a crazy amount in 1 or 2 or maybe even tops 3, but I'm going to give it like a year and a half, 2 years max, of just this massive amount of talent flooding into this industry from both directions. And it's just going to be nuts. The creative potential that's going to come out, the ingenuity that's going to come out from a technical level, from a spec level. I mean, I was talking to Corey last night. We've been doing this for freaking 5 months. That's it, 5 freaking months. It seems like we've been doing this for like years,
10
right?
years. 10 years. I feel like I've known y'all forever.
Right.
Crazy. Like, it's such a time warp. Yeah, to speak of like some utility stuff that I think a lot of people are not seeing in NFTs. I think a lot of people see NFTs as like a surface value, sort of like, I'm buying a JPEG for a crazy amount of money. That's it. But really, yeah, this utility aspect. So Nifty has been bringing not only just the IP, but with Waxpalooza. So it's a VR conference. Well, you can see it in VR or iPad or iPhone. You don't need glasses. And it's Mozilla Hubs, which they have an incredible web AR VR team there. And basically, what I love about his approach is that when we mentioned being a sponsor, now what's really interesting is how I got to be a sponsor. Now I've been to conferences my whole life. I know how these kind of things are sold, and instead Nifty sold it on Atomic Hub. I bought my booth, and I have apparently permanent ownership over that booth until I want to resell it, right? I can reprice it at whatever I want. I can lease it to someone who didn't get a booth, right? Because you said you slept. Well, hey, man, I got 2 booths. So, let me know. We could do some business, right? And so, but that's so epic, right? That like, that this business transaction happened. Like, I bought the commercial IP via, now we've done the uplift thing, which is buying, sort of proof of concept of real estate and stuff. I mean, this is the access, limiting the access to certain sites, proving ownership. People can't lie to you if they own it or not. I had some cases of that. Oh yeah, I love your product. And they check their wallet, they got nothing, right? Boom, gotcha, right? Blockchain doesn't lie. So I think there's a lot of utility that can happen. DeFi, when you don't have gas fees. Oops, you see my perspective leaking a little bit, but yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff on Wax that can happen uniquely, where gas fees can kill business models, and when you can do small incremental amounts of money, or all of these new use cases, like you're saying, like actually solves a problem, not like just a card trick, right?
I mean, we chatted about this last week, and there really is no point for us to talk about money anymore. And like, I'm not talking about this in terms of how blockchain people say, let's not talk about money because we're in it for like tokens. I'm talking about this in terms of like tokens. I mean, I guess it's cool to have certain tokens, but like one of my favorite things to do is just go randomly space out on YouTube and like search like interesting places to live or things to do. And you find like people installing, piano stairs in cities in Europe. So when you walk up the stairs, there's music, right? It makes me think. It makes me think like how cool would the world be if instead of like walking into a shop and like paying with something with money, I could just like slap down like a 3D model of Darth Vader on the counter and say, hey, right, like this actually sounds crazy because it sounds like we're going back to the barter system. But why do we even have money in general? Why don't we just use NFTs for everything? Because essentially, I think Nathan might have said it a couple of shows ago. Essentially, money in general, with the face of the presidents on the dollar bill, is like a pre-blockchain conceived representation of NFTs, right? It's just a picture, right? And so if we're going to do that and we can subscribe values to any of these NFTs in a free market kind of way, then why are we even using, don't get me wrong, I think Bitcoin's awesome, but why are we even using Bitcoin anyway? Why aren't we using like cool images like Blunties
Cheese.
to buy lettuce at the supermarket, right?
It's totally true. I'll tell you another example of how NFTs is like a really interesting form of currency. So like, when you're on, Wax and stuff like that, you know so many talented people who it turns out that it's like a business need to be able to use their services, whether they build an uplift, for example, or whether they can get information on things. And so I'm not going to call, specific situation out, but I thought it was really cool to incentivize information via an NFT that sold out, that was like, rare. And then it was like, well, for me, I paid retail price, but now the flip is like hundreds of dollars. So to that person, it's like, well, it doesn't matter. I can't get it at the retail price anyway. So it is worth hundreds of dollars. Right. And it was like and then because it was a low mint, it was like, oh, like a tip, like, oh, thank you. So it's this really interesting thing. It's kind of like what you're saying is like putting down this object that may actually have more significance or power because of scarcity rather than like a specific numerical, because like if there's like a pair of shoes that are just impossible to find and somebody puts them on your desk, doesn't matter how much you can pay for them. If you can't find them, then it doesn't matter, right? So sometimes having the object's better than having the money.
Well, and that's
why people want physical gold, because they realize there's no actual gold in the gold depository at Fort Knox that they say is backing our dollar. There's nothing in there. It's been empty forever. And rich people know us. They're like actually getting real gold.
Right. And if you got to walk from point A to point B with a slip of paper in your pocket, how good for your thighs is that? I mean, if you got to actually transport that gold, you're going to be ripped.
Yeah, but if you have piano stairs, you're going to be
ripped and jamming out and dancing your day away.
So we're part of the way through. I like it.
What is that supposed to be?
It's like a TDA bobblehead. It's good.
Well, it's because the mic went dead, the camera dead, so the show must go on. I had to just jump on the iPad with the bad angle and all that stuff. So
it must go on.
Studio for nothing, right?
I'll drive to Miami and give you a massage right now, dude.
That's a different kind of show.
The microphone
until after 11.
It's going to be live,
maybe.
So I want to go back to something that I was saying earlier, which I think you touched on again, which I think is really interesting, right? Because now, again, we have the ability to be able to put something in your account, or you have the ability to be able to put something in your own account if you purchase something, for the world to see, and that can be essentially a passport for whatever, right? Like it could be a passport to get into the uplift, which what we saw last week, right?
Sure.
It could be a passport. Nifty's doing this with some of his characters. It's a passport for future drops, right?
Sure.
We're pondering doing this in the uplift via YoshiDrops as well. It could be a passport to find some music event and be a member.
Access.
But you said something that got me thinking, because you said, now I have this NFT, but I actually there was a limited number that I could buy that would give me rights inside the system, right? And now the resale value on that is massive, right? Yep. Because like now, in order to have those rights, I need to have those NFTs, and there are no more of those NFTs. Now, what happens? Because I think this is going to happen, and I hope we're the ones that do it, but we're not really there yet. Now, what happens when we figure out a way to lock certain attributes in that NFT where you can only view it from inside your wallet?
Sure.
That's the freaking game changer when it comes to music, when it comes to art, when it comes to these types of things, right? This is like Gallery 2.0 or 3.0, right? Because now you live in this world where you can walk into your own virtual gallery. You can take people on a tour in your own virtual gallery, but you can only do that if you have that NFT. You can't just go onto the blockchain and listen to anything or see anything, right? Like it's almost like a preview that you would get. I don't know. That's not really where you were going with that, but like that's what I would like to see happen. I know we're supposed to be free. I know everything's supposed to be open. I know we're supposed to be like censorship resistant. Well, screw that. There's assholes out there that I don't want in my life, so I want to be able to boot you, right? Like,
well,
right?
you can qualify people by their interest, right? And like,
Right.
like for bots, for example, like people who, just kind of there for the flip, and it's like you could literally target based off of early minted templates that were like only the OGs would have got those ones. And so you can kind of keep people out of drops by doing a secured whitelist. And in some ways it can be helpful. Like, Nike hasn't figured out what to do with the scarcity thing and the bots and the flipping and stuff. But like, yeah, you could essentially qualify people by a numerous amount of NFTs. Like with our drops somehow, like basically our blends are all connected. And so, in some ways, in order to access specific drops, specific collabs, you have to already be at a level 5 or a level 4, which means you had to have been following, or you need to hurry up and catch up all in 1 week. Either way, you have to be at a certain standing in membership in order to access specific things. So yeah, I think it's not a bad thing to limit access when you can generate an immense amount of value. When we have essentially anything that's digital is copyable, so it has no value. Some companies become billionaires off of data, but we don't get a share. So now there's this whole world where it's like, wait a second, we can actually do something with its value, but we need to kind of like, filter it, qualify it, limit things, because and I had a question for the guy who created Second Life, and it kind of this was 4 or 5 years ago, and was if 99 cent if Ferraris are only 99 cents, then does this help or hurt classism, or does it make it worse, or does it help? And so at the time when I asked that question, I don't think I totally knew about what I was thinking about was NFTs. Is like, oh, if everyone could own a virtual Ferrari and it's all 99 cents, then is it a Ferrari anymore? And like, is there a need for that? But now with NFTs, it's like we see that right away. It's like, hold on. What do you think about that? Because in a way, what you're saying is like limiting access is necessary, and in some ways, those are words of elitism, right? In some ways, it's like, you're not good enough, or you haven't met the list, or you haven't met the criteria. But on other terms, it's like it does stop bad shit from happening, right? It does.
We decide what's good and bad.
Some of the most beautiful cities in the world are decorated with like street art, right? And how many people live in those cities, walk by that street art and don't even pay attention to it anymore, right? And I mean, if a Ferrari was on every corner everywhere, or as an NFT in every single person's wallet, I don't think you're going to see any value to it. Unless you
too. I mean, some people hate Ferraris. Some people think street art is vandalism. Some people, I mean, there's like, we're very complex, especially when it comes to like value. That's why I think the NFT market is interesting, because it's not like just money. It's just pegged to like this value system. Everybody,
Speaking of this, there's a thread here on value and creating value, and I'm going to connect it here with Uplift too,
right.
and street art. So like artists like Banksy and Shepard Fairey, sometimes they'll do illegal pieces, and then because their work's worth a lot, people cut out the wall, like cut the concrete out of the wall. And in a lot of like areas like Brooklyn and Wynwood and stuff like that in Miami, culture actually creates a value where so the real estate is not worth anything. Then young people come in and implement like music, art, murals, fashion, these kinds of things, and now all of a sudden it attracts style, tourism, and now all of a sudden that place has value. I'll talk about another Uplift builder who builds beautiful work, and thought it was interesting that they could pretty much buy a plot anywhere on the map, and because their work is so great, they would essentially drive traffic to an area that wouldn't be considered desirable, but now you've added value to it. And so it kind of ties back to that thing that you were saying earlier, where you were saying like where the thing is maybe worth more than the money. And so even so, then when I talked about, I don't want to get into details because I don't want to like dox people or whatever, but like, you know, this work was being sold. And so it was like, you know, it was grailed by a bunch of people saying that they wanted to preserve it. And we think about that in like, you know, historical design, how we try to preserve things because humans touched it. We used to do blunt passes, we still do, that would have like Senior Lupe and yourself, for example. And, you know, it's just transferring an NFT, but because we're doing that communal thing, we're connecting our wallets in a moment. And then we've re-auctioned that just directly after. And the metadata actually resold the item for 3 times more because of its historical or cultural value that's, you know, is beyond the cost of making, the scarcity, because cultural value has a higher importance. And I think that that's what makes NFTs a win, is because you can attach, like you said earlier in the conversation, an image and make a cryptocurrency cool. It's a comic book. It's a Blunty, like you said, or a Dutchie.
That's why a Holy Grail is worth more than.
Look at this guy leaking shit, huh?
That's why a Holy Grail is worth more than just like a bar of gold, for instance. Maybe it may actually weigh more in gold.
To any kind of drop, okay, guys?
Yeah, it's not specific. No, but I mean, that's a good point, because if you had a gold item, like a Holy Grail, and a bar of gold, which is heavier, so more volume, which means higher value, I mean, you would obviously choose based on weight the bar. If society
well,
exists.
wait, but if it is the Holy Grail, it has historical importance.
100 grand. Yeah, that's the thing.
If it was a chalice that was owned by a king, then maybe that story actually trumps the weight of gold.
Exactly, and if there was like metadata attached to the Holy Grail and somebody discovered it, to attach kind of the history, that's like what we have with.
In some ways, it's really bad metadata. That's what it is. It's kind of like piecemeal metadata that we have.
Hmm.
But you're
meta data.
You're onto something. Another really interesting idea there, which I love doing the show with Nathan because he brings on awesome guests and it gets my mind running.
I'm a connector.
Right. I mean, you're a conduit for love and appreciation and goodness.
He's definitely like a magnet for something, because he definitely has this like I don't know other fifth.
Oh, I thought you were making fun of me for getting struck by lightning all the time.
No. It's crystals. Dude.
It doesn't happen.
If you stand in the field with a crystal in the air, you're gonna get struck.
Give me the powers.
I can totally picture you doing that on Halloween.
Totally in a poncho in the middle of a field.
Poncho on Halloween. Give me the gray. I want to be the white.
I have charged my crystals in the light of a full moon before.
Do you have wireless charging for those guys when you go out in the field?
Yeah, it's like a pad.
TC
in the house.
TC, the person who woke me up to Uplift. And it took only a 30-minute conversation, and then that's it. Like I'm just getting rid of stuff in my wallet. I'm going ham on Uplift.
TC is like our ninja. He's like
Moses.
He's out there doing everything in the background we don't know.
30 minutes. Even people in my room, other people, they got off that phone call because we just turned on like the Telegram voice. TC was like, "Look, Uplift, listen. Let me tell you something, right?" Every like 20 people listening on the phone. I think we all hung up and went to the market.
Yeah, he's like Moses. He came down from the mountain with the tablets, and he like read you shall purchase Uplift, you shall buy NFTs, you shall model our planet, you shall. He got his commandments.
Let's talk about the metaverse a little bit, because I think that it's kind of like this word that's thrown around. Me and Nathan have tried to kind of bring it up, and how like we just use words loosely and stuff. But I think what's really special is the fact that all of these, universes, or all these IPs, Spider-Man can wear Superman shoes, things, and in that automation and sort of conditions can have this trust between corporations where you say, okay, I license my IP, small amount, a fraction.
No, continue.
Oh, and this way, it's when Sonic can wear Mario's shoes, right? And so in some ways I'm building next to stuff people are building, you know, Pokemon or all these things, and then I'm putting Dutchie, right? And in some way, you know, in Nifty, he's creating the Wax Gang, which is he's got a superhero card of Nathan. I've got a superhero card, and it's all the kind of people on Wax. And it's this universe where, like, what if, and like in a way, this cross blending, cross collection, it's one asset, one game asset, one golden gun from 007, but you're like in Zelda with it, right? And that can only happen with this like shared system and automation and stuff. But I think that in a way we were trained to build the metaverse because we watch TV, like in some ways, like commercials and all these channels and, you know, IP running. It's like, well, why can't we just mash it all together, right? And that's what Uplift is.
I come up from a small town in southern Ontario, and we had like 6 channels, and 2 of them played the same things. They just had different commercials, and I used to get really pissed off because like it was the same thing. They just used.
You switch for better commercials sometimes.
Right? And the funny thing about that is now we're in this world where it's better in the metaverse sense, because I think most of the people in metaverses now across various blockchains are starting to realize that there will never be one. Like, remember back in the day where it's just like, no, Bitcoin's dead, Ethereum's coming, right? Like this
ETH 2.0, it's coming.
It's coming, I'm telling you.
It's coming. It's almost here. But wait, there's 10 blockchains that's already solved proof of stake. Yeah, but just hold on a second. It's coming, man. It's on the way.
We've even got things that are coming out from Sala and Voice now, and this is not I'm pissed off at Voice, by the way. I will be for a very long time. I'm kind of annoyed with Block One. Like, I hope that they do well. It would be good for me if they do, but they need to do shit before I'll ease up on them. Like, just do shit.
Just do something.
So, do something.
Right? Yeah, do something. It. But now Voice is coming out with this kind of this interesting idea where you know, they're bridging things from Ethereum over, which is going to be interesting. And I think we're on the verge of like blockchain 2.0, not Ethereum 2.0, blockchain 2.0, whereby everything is interoperable and everything. And then I think coming very shortly after that, maybe even in the same wave, right? Some rogue typhoon comes in and some genius gets washed up on shore and you know, figures out that, because I think this is what needs to happen. I don't want to buy Nike shoes ever, but I will buy Nike shoes if I can walk into the store, scan a copy of an original NFT that I bought and paid for, and then they give me my shoes. Right? Like, right?
They have an answer for you. They've
had a blockchain for years.
They registered a patent called Crypto Kicks, if you want to follow that thread.
Yeah, right. And like, so I like, these are interesting aspects that I think will work themselves into everyday life at some point, right? Like, you know, I don't want to walk into a restaurant, look at a menu, have to open up my Waxcloud wallet, buy anything that I want, and then like have them scan the code, right? Like I'm not pushing it that far. The other interesting aspect that I think there's a lot of people paying attention to, but there's other issues that like we could expand upon, and you kind of brought this up. You know, we don't need to tokenize everything, but I would like to see everything fractionalized, if I'm honest about it, right? Like, we have this idea now where when you die, you can have your ashes sent and buried under a tree in the Brazilian rainforest.
It's true.
Right? And so, like, if there was an NFT that represented that tree, that it could never be cut down, that's a cool idea. But you know what's an even cooler idea? Instead of cutting that wall out of wherever it exists, where those artists are living, or right, where that community has lived, what if we fractionalize that and we let people buy into it? And in order for that to ever be removed or destroyed or taken away or hidden in a warehouse somewhere, you need to have like 90% of the people go onto the blockchain and sign it, right? Like, this could become like a new physical reality of communities, like what you were saying before. That could bridge the gap. That could create the ability to, you know, incentivize real world art, real world creativity, all of these things, just through simple open sourced ownership that's verifiable on the blockchain. So I know that's not what you were saying, but I like those ideas that
but it's true.
Right?
I had this whole idea for, I mean, it's not new. A lot of people have talked about this kind of stuff, but like essentially designing shipping container homes. Like you have a famous architect and a famous artist. They come together to kind of collaborate on these homes. And these homes are grouped in maybe like groups of 5 to 10. And it's the same idea, except you kind of put some of the money that was used to purchase that into a smart contract, put some of that into DeFi, and then create sort of yields that were feeding the families in the units and paying for like benefits for them and stuff. So they could actually have like an equal living wage to like people that were like legitimate middle classers, because like millionaires purchased and maintained the NFT homes. And then the trick would be having it on distressed properties. So that would be an easy one. How do we get the land for this? Well, you take somebody that's in foreclosure, you say, hey, we'll cut you into the smart contract enough to pay the mortgage every month if you donate X amount of your property. So they don't go into foreclosure. The other people get a spot for their homes, and it's like this big compromise where everybody's getting paid by the smart contract, essentially.
Yeah, I think that fractionalizing assets is one thing, but I think what's interesting that we're seeing now is fractionalizing ideas.
Mm-hmm.
For example, our buddy Neff, big shout out Josh, Upliftian builder, TC to homie.
Last week.
Yeah, they're working on a bus project, bro bus that, they take the wheel. Here's a photo of the wheel. Here's the photo of the keys. Here's the photo of the engine, and fractionalize the idea, or it's almost like the, crowdfunding meets Kickstarter, but you get something instead of like you get a thank you. You actually get it to be along with the ride of the growth and all that stuff. So I think that, I've seen, shout out Marcus, who is doing tarot reading at Waxapalooza probably because of it, but did an NFT where it granted you access to a tarot reading. And I just love this idea that people can kind of gather around a concept. I mean, in a lot of ways, blockchain blunts or DUTCHEE or whatnot is still, a hive mind that's bigger than what I'm putting together. Is kind of, we're all sort of
DUTCHEE's a movement
on a topic, huh?
It's a movement, really. It's changing the world. I mean, DUTCHEE might even broker in
at a time, right?
A new era of peace on Earth, one era at a time. Exactly. DUTCHEE has nothing but goodwill towards man and womankind, and doesn't matter, anything and everything is Dutchified. Let it be Dutchified.
There we go.
Let DUTCHEE bless your life.
The fact that people are like,
very serious.
Putting ideas out there, or being able to even kickstart things. Like in some ways, it's like we had a dream to build a whole, a whole universe, and in some ways, by buying the NFTs, you're kind of like funding that dream, and so I think that it's really cool to see people, not only just trying to figure out how to like link a physical thing to the blockchain, but more so like concepts and how you can like DeFi ideas. And there's a lot of like interesting stuff, memberships and groups, and the DAO, right? Right.
I love it.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about DAOs for a second.
I want to see traditional cheesy T-shirts make their way into blockchain, and then like have a revolution
like
where
ours.
they're actually produced in the real world. Because like
ours are traditional and cheesy, and they've made their way into the blockchain
right. But I'm not. I don't think that's actually cheesy, to be honest.
Oh.
I think it's really cool.
It was just an opportunity.
I want to do like, remember those like Life's a Beach shirts that you used to wear?
Oh yeah.
When you were a kid, like
sure.
There's so many plays on words that we could do, right? Like DeFi, DeFi traditional madness, for example, like something like that, right? Like because like realistically, right? Like defying
DeFi you to continue.
defying things through blockchain in general is where we're at it with this, right? And so like you mentioned, like the ideas of DAOs, the ideas of DAX, the ideas of all of these things, we're basically where I think Satoshi wanted us to be, but I'm not really sure if he actually. He's smart, so he probably did, but I'm not even sure if he got the implications beyond, the actual tokenomics part of it, right? Like I think my idea, I maybe he did, but I don't think he knew that this is where this is going. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't think that he thought about the fact that not only do you have your own autonomy when it comes to your own things, but this could actually be a model for governance, right? Like not only do you have your own token for things that nobody can take away, but this could be the impetus for a newfound business based on, NFTs and things like that, right? So yeah, 100%. What do you think about DAX and DAOs? And I think that's one of DeFi, DAX, and NFTs. DeFi, DAOs, and NFTs, I think are the three most important revolutions of the modern time, in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah. Well, okay. Here's my thoughts on just in general, where things are going. Where if you think about, businesses, the way that they're built is their incentive structure is often profit based. And so, you have shareholders that sort of have this expectation that things go infinitely off and to the right and grow every quarter. And it doesn't matter what you do to the customer in some ways, whether you got to cut some employees or you got to, cut some services or benefits, you're turning that profit that quarter, right? And it becomes a vicious cycle where in some ways it's how can we squeeze this last few bucks out of people or whatever? And so I kind of like to make this analogy of so if Uber is incentivized by profit, then how does it compete with Boober? The blockchain Uber, because the shareholders, and if it's a DAO where it's basically it's they will pay for a quality experience and the value is increased by usage, which means it has to be a legitimately good service, not just screw people over in a tricky way with a 99 cents instead of a $1. Or whatever the hell kind of trick stuff.
99 is bigger than one, dude.
Right.
Come on, bro.
Exactly. So the point is that what happens when all the businesses have to mega corps that we see today have to compete with services that don't have to focus on profits. In fact, they can get ideas funded through their shareholders or their coin holders or however you want to say it, right, through the governance or whatever. They can get things approved that actually just have a zero effect on profit, but have a huge effect on user experience. And so I think that those services are going to be pretty much impossible to compete with because you can't win a game against someone kind of trying to beat someone who's whatever, you can't, kind of scare the villain or something like that. And in those kinds of ways, it's someone who is not affected by profit can play by the rules in a way that you can't when you got to answer to those people every 3 months or something, so I think it's going to be a really interesting thing. And then people are sort of saying, oh well, there's an issue with the speed or there's an issue with this, and when you craft really good services, you'll attract an audience, and then when you make world-class services, then your value goes up. So in some ways, by sort of under promising, over delivering, I see a lot of these companies that we see as blue chip or home. I think they're going to get rocked by a bunch of people who don't even know each other, who are going to be in different countries, somehow acting organized. And these companies are going to get the shit kicked out of them by, not just in one industry. I'm talking worldwide ass kicking in all the industries because of that. Just, it's an unfair, it's a handicap to have to fight for profit first.
We're also thinking too.
Defies. There you go.
We're doing a lot of critical thinking in our industry.
Thanks, guys. That's my cue, and
That's it.
I'll see you on the next one. No, I'm sorry.
No, but we're doing a lot of critical thinking in our industry that's not really occurring in the rest of the industry anymore because they don't have to, or for years they haven't had to really think critically about how they're addressing their customer, kind of
it's the way we've always done it.
Yeah, because they're well, you don't have a choice, so just make them do it. Kind of this kind of forcing things where we almost have an unfair advantage now because we came into this game using our brains. All right, how can we make this work for ourselves? And they're trying to figure out how to get it rolling again, this momentum. And the problem is when something's really big, I mean, it's just hard to get it moving again.
Look at the banks. Didn't they get in trouble for like basically telling people to set up? This is a period. I'm sure anyone old enough to remember. They're like, hey, do you need another bank account? Do you need 3 bank accounts? Now on Wax, you can set up multiple wallets, but that's by choice. Nobody's sitting there and telling you, hey, you sure? Are you
Wells
sure
Fargo
you don't want to
got
set
a lot
up
of
an account
trouble
today?
for that.
And basically they're forcing to appease an investor who goes,
Yeah.
oh, they're growing in accounts held, so they're valuable. Let's invest more. Let's make more, bigger bonuses. And it's this vicious cycle that's dragged by this, you know, they don't have a choice. So in a way, blockchain can go beyond any kind of service because even 5 friends can make a dope ass service with shared.
But it's also predatory because like in business, big business is going to squeeze whatever they can out of whatever sector and then kind of move to the next thing, you know? So it's like
where no corporate business has ever gone before.
Right. No,
well, they will always try to squeeze more out of something that I don't want to make this political, but I mean, there is something to be said. I will.
You want to.
There is something to be said for like the fall of societies, right? Through history and how this plays out, and always trying to, like, since back before even the Roman times, but Roman times is the best example, just trying to draw things from that people who are supporting you. I think we're going to see the same thing. It's not necessarily a society or a country or a political entity, but capitalism has this grip on the world that I think it will fall, and it will fall in a weird kind of way to almost like almost like a technologically blockchain enhanced, communist manifesto type of scenario, which is crazy because if you're American, society. Like you're thinking like, oh no, communism bad, but that's not what Marx was saying. Actually, Marx's point wasn't about like, oh, we need to make the world communist. It was about like, this system is going to fail, right? Like that was his big thing, right? Like this system is going to fail. It's not sustainable. And I think exactly all the things that you're saying right now about how this is going to affect the world, this will be the bridge between what he saw as the major faults of capitalism and what comes next.
You're talking about utopian society.
I think you failed at not making it political.
Yeah, you're right.
But I see your point.
You know, the original ideals of communism were not meant to be like, hey, man. Right? You just off half of the listeners right there. I'm just kidding. You communist.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to hear like certain people talk about like art and how like certain percentages can make people slaves to the blockchain. I think that's like an interesting sort of futurist idea. That in some ways,
very ahead.
Right? In some ways, it's like, what do you mean this percentage could perpetually create some sort, right? And so I think there is a lot of interesting things where like truth, we'll figure out what that means. But
even in blockchain, we figured out ways to kind of like circumvent the truth, and it's designed to be this thing. Like I think it's kind of part of our nature is to find like the next best thing.
Private blockchains are going to happen. Let's come on. Like I think that was your opening. Was that like we need private blockchains? We need I think that was your campaign along with Marx.
No, but like I do actually. I don't think that all blockchain should be private, but I do think that there is value.
Use case for sure.
He's more of a Leon Trotsky guy.
Like I want to see you get paid. I'll be honest. I don't own any of your NFTs yet, but I will very soon.
I know. I checked.
Right.
Yeah, we check everybody's wallet. I'm not even like I'm not
technically. Before I go on any show, I go, wait a second, let me see if they. And then they're like, hey, I love your stuff. You're like, all right, cool. I checked the wallet before I got here. By the way, I saw that you have a couple plots for sale. I'm interested. We could talk after.
By the way, hey, and I didn't own a Dutchie for like a month after I promoted him like so hard. It was crazy.
Hey, but
that's different. That's a different kind of commitment.
I'm not going to stop anyone from promoting. Okay.
That's just pure love. Like, that was just pure love.
Allowed to go off the rails with promoting. Okay.
Like, what would you call somebody that's like really into Nikes that doesn't even have shoes? You call them a weirdo, but that's not what I am. All right.
But you recognize quality, right? You may not have shoes on, but you're like, those are some nice shoes.
Yeah, I ain't got quantity, but I have quality for you, babe.
We're matching. We're friends. Look, can you tell we're friends?
Spliffy gang, Team Spliffy, hashtag Team Spliffy.
Right.
Do I got these different the accoutrement that you're witnessing upon me?
Is that like a second place like graduation award?
It's a second place wrestling medal from like an invitational in high school. I just found it over here and I was like, why
You're
not?
like, this shit rocks with my energy crystals, man.
See the little wrestling guys.
I knew it, dude. I recognized that ribbon, man. I was like, that's not no.
There's people like
award.
really getting close on this medal.
I mean, I'm sure it's good for like. I mean, that would be a look that people would know you. They're like, yo, you know that Nathan guy? He's always wearing like all the like third place awards around. Like 18.
He's always like third place.
It's becoming a bit much, but we know when he enters the room. Kind of thing.
Oh,
right?
sure.
You know what I mean? It's like
that silver catches your eye, though.
It's like a power move. It's like, I'm going to take the attention of the room because I'm going to wear 18 like third place medals. Like, why do that? But then it's like, look, here we are talking about Nathan again. Look, he wore the necklace and now he's just hijacked the whole. What are we talking about? Were we talking about blockchain? I feel like we were talking about a technocratic society.
I don't know, but I kind of feel like somebody.
I invented the blockchain.
I kind of feel like somebody needs to create an Ethereum character that wears a participation medal around their neck.
That's me.
Okay, got you. If it's a
wouldn't that technically be me?
It's like, yeah, I'm participating.
An Ethereum character that's participating.
Certificate of attendance. Yeah.
Like I showed up, wax gang. Is that what you call it?
I want to know a little bit more about what's up and coming with this, new YoshiDrops thing. So let's say I don't own any DUTCHEEs or I don't own any YoshiDrops. What do I have to do, and when do I have to do it to be included?
You need to run as fast as you can.
Right. Yeah. I guess you got to get one, right? It's an airdrop, so if you don't have the template, then you're dealing with the resale market.
So do we have a public timeline on this?
So we have information releasing.
Okay, so we don't have a public timeline yet. Okay, fair enough.
No. Well, wait a second. 1 p.m. Friday is the drop, and
the 13th.
It will be staggered. So obviously the people who get it airdrop first, they'll be the first.
Did I get fatter in the last 10 minutes? I just saw myself on camera. I'm sorry. I'm just like, I feel depressed now. Sorry, go on.
I think we're staggering, and it's not that staggered, but yeah, everyone will get one, but there will be staggered drops. So I think
right, yeah. So like you will
freak out if you don't get one and you see one on the market. It's coming.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And then basically the idea is that you'll have multiple chances to win prizes, and like if you see the window, you'll see what the object is real soon. And we got a lot of cool mechanics that are custom built, just burn it directly in the wallet and then a new asset is minted, along with a site that has an interface that will kind of break it down for you. And so we'll be very clear and intentional about it. It's just that sometimes keeping information from leaking is really hard. And so kind of a leak turned into like a public leak. And then it just kind of like, where's the information? It's like, okay, so we're trying to do our best here. But the idea is to be very clear. There will be plenty of notice, and it won't be a secret. But ultimately, it is the beginning of something new, almost like a category or a new type of experience. We're calling it like a multiplayer listening party. Essentially, it's people who can battle against each other, listen to the music, and then you get to keep your favorite song. So you're getting one asset. And actually, you brought up something about, well, what if you reach the mint number that you want? Then does that mean you need a second asset? We did see that with the other one. There were some people who were just pretty much trying to grab all the magic mints or whatever. So they would basically grab their cartridge, surf back and forth to the right number, and then hold it. And then if they had airdrop 2 or 3, then maybe they could keep going, or they'll grab one off of resale, keep blending, and then get to where they got to be. But if you're a Dutchie holder and a Yoshi holder, that's a good look. But
yeah,
Dutchie,
so all the people who are in the comments, I need you to do one thing. I need you to put your left hand either on a pair of underwear or a blunt, or
I'm always left hand blunt, right hand underwear. That's a bad quote, right?
It's like Twister. We don't. He's all contorted.
He's like, hey, I got this.
And
I got this.
And promise not to like leak any of this, very unpublic information that we're telling
I promise not to leak on you.
Guys, so I swear on the holy blunts.
Nice.
Guys, keep it to yourself, okay? Secret.
I'm going to.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, if there's no official messaging, but somehow you got some value out of what I said,
I do have one question though, and we don't have to answer it. We can just have technical difficulties. However, I want to know, because this is a big thing that comes out. Are these stackable?
Stackable.
Stackable.
Like I mean, they might be stackable across projects, but are they stackable otherwise? Okay, so pumpkins are vegetables, and so are tomatoes. Do you know any other
That's
weird
controversial. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the crapple
part. I think fruit or vegetable.
We talked about crapples earlier.
Oh yeah, tomatoes are fruits. So do you know what a papal is? Because papals are really cool. Or a Goya. Yeah, we're trying to think of. We have this idea for a stream, which I think is going to be really fun. I'm going to hold up weird random vegetables that I find in Asia.
Okay.
And then we're going to like create this fruit bowl at some point.
Yes.
And we're going to get Nathan to go on stream. And while we talk, Nathan's going to paint this weird fruit bowl of vegetables that or fruits that he's never seen before.
Strange fruits.
And then we're gonna ask him what he thinks that they are after the painting is done. I think that would be fun. So we've been saving that information for times like this where we had to forget about what we were talking about.
And paint that marsupial.
I don't even remember, to be honest.
We're also going to do paint that marsupial in the future. That's going to be another thing. I've always got my paintbrush.
The achy Edna can be eating the weird random vegetables beside the bowl of.
I'm going to tie together a thread about access.
I love when you tie threads.
You talked about access, and you talked about how certain things can grant you things that by not having it you won't receive. And I think that Dutchie is a lot like that. So if you look at a lot of like projects that have to do with extremely rare units that are separated by different variants, generally you see max supplies of like CryptoPunks 10K. Other projects like Bored Apes, those things like 4,200, those kinds of things. Dutchie's 420 max supply, so pretty scarce. And to tie the thread together, there's 220 left at the drop, and we are fractionalizing, not the ownership, but we're breaking up the things that would be considered high mints by opening up multiple blends every single week. And so there's going to be a point where there's going to be no duplicates, or at least very little. And so right now, that's what we're doing. We're giving double, triple points to Dutchie holders, benefits that to thank them and stuff. And but that being said, we're building in. I can't talk too much about all the uplift plans, but we're super bullish on uplift and doing some really, really cool shit all across Genesis and uplift. We're looking at a lot of metaverse stuff. And so that being said, we look at Dutchie ownership like a club or like limited access that gives you benefits, and so I can't really talk too much in terms of like staking or other future partnerships. But damn it feel good to own a Dutchie. You know what I mean? That's all I could say.
Yeah.
Big news
Yeah, it
coming.
feels good to be a Dutchie. Is kind of what I always say.
I like
You don't say that.
what I know and what I don't know. I like where this is going in terms of utility. I'll just say that. I think
you like what you know and you don't know.
Yeah, what I know and what I don't.
That's
know.
part of it.
You like everything.
That's part of it, right?
I like
don't
everything.
know, right? I mean, definitely people didn't expect a Yoshi drop. They didn't expect us to sign a record deal essentially on the blockchain.
Crazy.
I mean, our product has been blendable, augmented reality action figures and skateboards and blunts. No one's going to think that we're going to drop a music project with Yoshi. Nobody thought we were going to do infinite cartridge blend or essentially like a unique avatar project that includes augmented reality.
Yeah.
So we're just
Nobody
gonna
sees
keep
this Dutchie space capsule coming either.
The shit
On
that's
July
coming, they're not gonna see the
27th,
uplift
we're
shit
shooting a
coming.
capsule into space.
That's the point. And then we want to break wax. We want the people at Nefty and the people at Wax to go, what is this 777 mint in 142 issued supply? And how do we explain this? I want to know. It's like
Friday.
the third or fourth time I've said it. So when do we get
Friday.
the answer? Jonas?
Oh no. You're gonna get me blacklisted.
Yeah, or should but I think
it's just my show.
That's the beautiful thing that we can that we can not even know what's going to happen, and I think that's what's really exciting about this Yoshi thing is that we're doing an immense amount of prediction and simulation as to how it's going to go. We're trying to figure out the specific outcome, but what's really interesting about this new space is like CryptoPunks and Bored Apes and all this stuff, they show you the end of the movie and then there's no movement, right? Where here people are in charge of the scarcity themselves. They're the ones, they could decide to burn or not burn. I can't even tell you what to do. All I can do is open up doors of possibility, and then randomly people around the world will either enter those doors or not, but they're in charge of the scarcity and how the story plays out. And I think that's way more beautiful than just saying, hey, yeah, we just made 4,000 units. This is what they all look like. And here you go. Like, this is the story. They're sold out. Now just resell forever. And that's the end of our story. It feels very,
kind of like low.
And it's 8-bit. Not to talk shit about 8-bit because I like the 8-bit, but what I'm just saying is,
what are you doing?
It's difficult to do more.
Why are you hating on the 8?
Oh, I'm not. I love the 8. I love
no hate on the 8.
I love the 24-bit.
I like a good 808 as well.
Lupe.
808.
I know a little bit more about Yoshi than I know about Dutchie. I will say that. However, I think, at least from the Yoshi side, and I'm assuming from the Dutchie side as well.
Well, let me correct you. That's
some of
Spliffy.
these.
Spliffy is the one who's the music artist. Dutchie is on our collection. Spliffy is on Yoshi.
Is Dutchie more like an influencer or a skateboarder? Yeah. I guess, technically.
So where I was going with that is, I think that, like, in reference to breaking shit.
Of course.
People understanding what's happening. I think that we're at the point now where we're kind of ahead of our time on both projects. It seems.
Yeah, we're futurists.
However, the beauty with, I think, where this is headed from the Yoshi side as well, is that I think these ideas are kind of timeless in a way, right? Like if it takes the rest of the market, a couple months, or it sounds so weird to say a couple months, but a couple months is like a freaking.
It's like 10 years.
Time, right?
Seriously, like 10 years.
2 or 3 years.
Yeah. If it takes like the market a couple months to figure this out, like in a year's time, if people aren't paying attention in the mainstream to NFTs, I'm gonna be a little bit shocked. Like even if they don't know that they're acquiring NFTs, I'm gonna be like a little bit shocked if they're not paying attention to crypto. And I kind of get that, because like there really is, in a way, no reason to pay attention to crypto when you got to enter a freaking 24-hour
like 24 message key phrase or something like that, right? But like NFTs and Wax and other blockchains as well are making things really easy, right? So and now, you know, even with Tops, walking into a store, buying a pack of cards, scanning something, right? Like I think version 2.1 or whatever it's going to be is now we're probably getting to the point where you're going to be able to scan a QR code and a wallet will be automatically created for you, right? Like that's right. Like if you don't have one, right? Like there'll be like a little passphrase that says, okay, like enter your Wax account. You enter your Wax account and it will go to your wallet. If you don't have one, it says, you know, you click a button, it says, okay, you don't have one. You press another button and one will automatically be created for you. And people will complain about custodianship, but like, let's face it, most people can't even freaking.
They don't want those on
half the time, right? Like, so, imagine if
Wax,
you could just like dial 1-800 and be like, hey, is this the Wax block? Yeah, I'm sorry, I lost my house keys again. Can you like reissue my QR code so that I can unlock my door?
Yeah, when they tweeted, they said, we bought your NFT. I was like, who's we? Wax? Entire network? How does that work? It's got to be people back there. Quigley.
People's back there pulling string,
right?
Yeah.
I like it though. So the 13th, that's you said 1 p.m. Eastern Standard
And then the
Time.
next day is Waxapalooza, which
Waxapalooza.
And this is just the beginning. Like Yoshi this is not just a spliffy thing. It seems like it's going to be just a whole new type of experiencing music and kind of connecting with people and a game of luck and numerology. And
there's a big one coming down the pipe too. Kind of like somebody that people probably won't see coming paired up with Spliffy at a point.
Yeah, there's some big partnerships, but
big name.
Yeah, to touch on one point that you were making about people not getting or not seeing something. What's interesting about that is that I believe that in some cases when something is really good mathematically or strategic or whatnot, of course there's like a sense of quality that's important as well. But like when we do the burns and the way that we do the burns, and then people look at the market prices and they go, whoa, it's really high. And it's like, well, we did the breakdown and of the 420 mints, and a lot of people are like, oh, that's 420, it's a lot. But now when you do the breakdown, a lot of units only have 1 or 2 designs. And we started at 420. So we keep on blending and reblending and reblending until it reaches this small supply. And so, yeah, when you start the thing in reverse, the customer's like, well, wait, it's 420 mints. Why would I be in on this? But now as it's, and the Kenny dolls are the same. If you go to Ken's Market, Kenny doll, every level you're seeing the prices augment. It's like, but people don't understand how blends work. But it's like, okay, yes, but a supply that's self-burning and is becoming rarer and rarer as it moves on and requires more and more access. Clearly, it's, you know, it's having some sort of effect whether people understand it or not. So sometimes, like, you know, like some of the things like Our Planet, like when I saw it in February, I was like, oh, wait a second, this is like checkmate. This is like super checkmate. Like they just checkmate the platform and shit. Like, whoa, who are these people? And I started looking them up and I was like, wow, this is too, like, it's sometimes when people just got like a sound plan, it's mathematically good, everything. It doesn't matter if people don't get it. It's some things are not going to be stopped. Like, for example, like AI automation. A lot of people are like, well, but I don't like AI automation, or I don't like automated cards. It's like, well, there's billions of dollars that are going to be not only made, but saved, and lives that are going to be saved. So it really doesn't give a shit whether you get it or not. It's kind of like there's way too much money and momentum to make it stop. So get comfortable.
And I don't think we're going down the path of iRobot where they're going to take over the world. I don't think we're that dumb.
I see something far more nefarious, actually. I think it's going to go total class warfare. Rich people are going to have Neuralink. Poor people aren't. You're going to have this association of being dumb and committing crimes, and then the rich people are going to have some reason to get rid of poor people that aren't.
Neuralink. You could say the same for a cell phone.
That could be like any technology, any company.
Cell phone. If you don't have a cell phone, and someone who has a cell phone who has superpowers to be able to like, grab a ride out of thin air, transfer money, do all these things, and then now you don't have a phone. You don't have access to unlimited intelligence. Yeah, when you think of like augmented reality and AI or Neuralink, those kinds of things, it's only taking it to another level. So absolutely, and actually to another,
that's why AI is
another
going to
thread
save
here.
us. It's going to shut down all the powerful people connected to the system.
Yeah, the guy from Second Life, that was that was their discussion, was after that question was like, would the 99 cents Ferraris create classism, or does it improve or make it worse? And then they started getting to, well, maybe classism is a limit of your technology, of your bandwidth, which actually you opened the conversation with that.
True.
If you have low bandwidth, that can be considered a level of classism or elitism. If you have like slow technology, like your phone isn't fast enough to claim the drop, or your AI networks aren't fast enough to right. So there will be some sort of technological segregation based off of your first world access to just like people right now who are accessing mining rigs or accessing these new assets that we don't know anything about. Those people essentially have an advantage right now. Mm-hmm. And then other people are going to show up later and they're going to go, but wait a second, CryptoPunks is 100,000 each. It's like, yes, but when it was happening, it was not that price to get in, right? So
I should do this, Nathan. We should talk about this because I think this would be fun to do on the YoshiDrops side as well. But like, we should start like figuring out a way to take screenshots of like things that people are complaining about, and then like a year down the road have like, remember those like, again, cheesy, really bad shows, but like have like a series of like bloopers NFTs. Like, can you imagine?
You're describing a Reddit thread called "Aged Like Milk."
Oh, really?
I didn't actually. The guy from a really good one to look up is the guy from Wall Street Bets, the guy who first kind of became very bullish and was like, oh yeah, and there's basically mountains of comments of them going, you're an idiot, you're like, you should kill yourself, get out of here, you're stupid, all this stuff for months. And the guy's like, it's so cryptic. It's like, okay, yeah, I guess I am stupid. I guess I'm a stupid. And they're like, and months and months. And then at the end of the Age Like Milk, they check in like now, right? Well, in the midst of the stonks sort of AMC thing. And people are going, I'm an idiot. Like, they're replying back to their own comment, years down the road and going, it aged like milk, right? So
yeah, I like it.
That's the bloopers reel. That's the funniest home videos with Bob Saget of the comments.
Never fashionable to be a hater.
Right. Well, it's certainly, the FUD is nice, nice to get all wrapped up in, but all
I hear is fudge. And I just, like I said, I get fatter per second. So I'm all about that fudge. All about that.
Well, I have to wrap this up in about 5 or 6 minutes or so, because we haven't given Nathan powers yet. We're a little bit scared to do that.
Yeah, it's like you ain't got to get home, but you got to get out of here. You know what I mean?
No, I got another stream that I always do, which is good.
You start flicking the lights on and off. You cut the music. Right. You're like, all right, guys.
I'll stay on.
Wrap it up box. You should get a wrap it up box.
But this is what I want to do. And if Nathan wants to be a part of this, that would be cool too.
Second place. Maybe let's go.
Now that I have my internet back, because I was missing it for like a week, before Nathan turned his power crystals on and got my internet turned back on.
Well, but it's also the award, the runner-up medal that connects with the crystals.
It's this amethyst ball that I have in front of me.
He's just randomly, weird shit on the desk with Nathan. That's going to be our next show.
I have a lot of stuff here. I don't know what this is. It's like a 2-headed puppet thing.
Yeah, you should just do show and tell. Nathan show.
I have a book. Life Comes from Life. This is the book I have on my desk.
I mean, if our guest never shows up, we've got a really good lines of things.
A shallow dive into Nathan's collectibles.
Palo Santo.
Shit you didn't know you needed on your desk.
Shout out.
Anyway, so this is what I'm thinking. what if we, because Nathan was saying earlier that he had to go out of his house, and he was kind of wondering if it's really even a good idea anymore, and I kind of agree.
Zombies.
Because it's so much more fun hanging out and talking to people like you. And
Same.
We talk a lot. I talk a lot.
Saturday night, maybe because I think enough time will have passed that he'll have a little bit more free time. But maybe we wrote Nifty BC in.
Well, actually, so about Nifty BC,
nice.
I was nominated by, I believe, Orion in a chat room. You were like, I'm looking for a roundtable, and they were like Nifty BC and Digital Acid, and I was like, I agree, Nifty BC should be on there. And
right.
then,
so let's do it for Waxapalooza. Let's.
And then you were just like, who's Digital Acid?
Saturday night, we can go in, we can walk around, we can look at your gallery, what you guys have got set up in there, because it'll be running. Because I've seen the what's there. I think on a private channel, it looks really cool. And you can walk us through what's happening. And then he'll be on the stream, so he can talk about Waxapalooza. I think we're gonna have some
awesome
stuff up on the Uplift side. If you guys are free, let's pencil it in for Saturday night, Nathan. Let's do a special. Let's do a special. A deeper shallow dive with love, because it's 20.
My whole Saturday is dedicated to Waxapalooza and Nifty BC. My whole week, I didn't sleep last night because I'm working on booths and YoshiDrops. So
yeah,
I literally haven't had an hour of sleep. So yeah, so
I've been sleeping like a baby. I'm just kidding.
Right, I know. You jerk.
No, I've actually been up. I didn't want to say anything today, but I was up probably almost all night. I got like 4 hours of sleep. This like NFT and crypto stuff, people do not understand. When you're like working full time and trying to like make your dreams come true, you don't sleep much, but it's okay. We're all gonna either retire
at
40
edge because we haven't slept.
Well, me and Sebastian will either retire at 40 or we'll die at 40, and we're committed.
From lack of sleep.
We're committed to that path. So, we're warriors. We'll make this happen.
I'm kind of sad that I'm over 40 now.
Well, why did you have to take
I'm happy because I'm not dead, but I'm not quite retired yet. So
don't say it like that. My dad is over 60, and he threatens to beat me up all the time. He's like, I can still take you. And I'm like,
my dad's over 60,
I don't want anything.
And he just crystallized his upliftium.
Your dad's a G. He's crystallizing upliftium over there.
That's right.
You taught him well.
Dude, that's another show.
65 and crystallizing upliftium. Let's go.
Man.
We need to do a roundtable. Hey, do you think your dad would come on our show? Like we do roundtables on the Crypto Rider.
He says he's always on the Just Learn Crypto show because they say that they're boomer friendly. So he feels comfortable there. He brings his vape pen. He wears his little Dutchie background. So I'm sure.
Yeah,
but he has to be boomer friendly.
Let's do a crypto roundtable, crypto dads, and we'll get him and a few other people. Maybe we can get
crypto dads.
Yeah,
maybe get Miss Teen Crypto's dad.
Oh, get Randy. Yeah,
Randy's cool as hell.
Randy. Yeah, Randy.
It's like it's like the new. Do you remember like when you were younger and you were a kid and like you're
no because of a head wound.
Oh,
your friends
there too.
It's actually real. But go ahead.
Isn't Ken's mom?
Go ahead and bring up childhood. That doesn't make me sensitive.
That's all right. I got hit in the head with a piece of wood once when I was a kid. So
mine was a shovel in a downward motion, and it actually went into my skull.
We talked about it today. It's pretty rough.
Yeah, it's actually.
It's still fresh in my mind, Ugh. And on that note,
right? Another NFT series, like how I became a blockchain millionaire, and the first character is Nathan with the shovel sticking out of his head.
It's like I used to have this really high IQ, and then the shovel happened, and now I'm in blockchain, right? Is that? We're DJs.
Yeah. So many places I could go with that, and they're all positive.
That's the funny thing about it. They're all positive. Like it's like,
No,
yes.
my family actually said I used to be like kind of book smart, and then I got hit in the head, and I was like creative after that.
I used to have some friends who actually had a inside joke that they used to have little golden shovels on a keychain, and like whenever you're kind of doing the Nathan thing where you're digging your own grave, they'll pull it out and they'll go, "Yo, hey, you got it? All right, cool, dude." And then they're like, X-nay on the Upitstay, you know what I mean?
I fell out of the house
we need
recently.
to get you one, I think, because it's like double symbolism. It's like the golden shovel, but
I'm very durable, dude.
So you can fill the hole back in at the same time.
I've buried myself alive and survived multiple times. So I'm like in Kill Bill. I'm just, and then when the dirt starts rushing, I'm just.
God bless you, Jimmy D, for doing it as often as you do, man. I try to handle him as best.
He's like, I do more of a 2 week thing.
He's just him, and he
right
like he does.
Was I out of control when I did you, Sebastian?
We just went from once a week to twice a week. Like things are about to get mad.
Yeah, that's it. He like before you know it, you're doing it daily. You're like, what's going on? But he's good. He's good.
I would say fungus, but I'm more like an algae of some sort.
I get a GIF every morning. Podcast.
Yeah, I'll send text just podcast ?
Podcast.
I mean, I'm a big fan of mycelium, so let's do that.
Ooh, nature's internet.
The mycelium, there may or may not be a collab that contains mycelium blunts. May not. Maybe a big artist on. Wow, whatever.
They're like, yeah, and I think that we can open up the internet pathways with mycelium blunt.
I think it's all about opening pathways. Is what people should really be worried about in these times.
See, we need to have the shroom cast where we all have a real conversation. You know what I mean?
That'd be interesting.
I mean, there's some really big mushrooms in Japan that I could wear one on my head, and that would be.
You need to lock like all of our world political leaders in a room together. This has been said by other like big podcasts.
I think that's the Bilderberg.
That's where we end the stream.
And then just make them
here tomorrow.
I think that exists already. Bilderberg, right?
Oh, you said their name. Now they're after me, bro. I gotta go.
Yeah.
No. They sponsor me actually as an artist. So
I do.
You're right. I wouldn't be surprised.
You're like, hey, you know?
Like, oh.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I swear, it's Jay-Z.
This episode is brought to you by the All.
This is a dynasty sign. It's a dynasty sign. Jay-Z.
Right. Exactly.
What's your favorite song off the Black Album?
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is O.
Oh, H to the OV. I used to move by the
Snowflakes by the OZ.
Oh, I didn't. You said it.
Well, you asked.
Even back then, you could call me CEO of
the ROC.
Oh.
We're gonna get flagged. The whole podcast is gonna get demonetized.
See
how accurate.
Be the music biz.
I honestly don't know how that hasn't happened already. Like over the course of the last 5 months.
I'm flaggable, bro.
What, him being flagged?
Him being flagged. The demonetization thing. Like, I guess we're doing something so.
Every call is a wire act.
So good.
I've been private. Like, oh my god.
Right.
You know, I catch me on a hot mic, boy. Let me tell you.
This isn't what we look like. We're all augmented reality.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's just it's like those.
Life is, you know.
The face you see now is not the face that exists because we all live in the aether.